I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, and so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. That's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is a show where we talk about science fiction, comic books, and video games. Really, it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends. I'm Anthony Dennar, media scholar and person who had Chipotle for dinner today, and for the 10th time in a row was disappointed. So is it time for me to stop getting Chipotle? I don't know. I think it maybe that would be my topic today. Maybe I'll go on a rant on what happened to Chipotle. But that's not our topic today. That's not our main topic. Today's topic, we're talking about, can you separate the art from the artist? This topic came about because we were debating if we wanted to talk about the Harry Potter video game. Obviously, there was a lot of sort of a debate in the Harry Potter fandom whether to embrace the game or to reject the game based on J.K. Rowling's comments about transgender people. So obviously there's some back and forth in there. So it kind of leads us to the question, can you separate the art from the artist? So for example, if the main author of a text does something problematic or something you disagree with, can you still sort of enjoy the fan object, if you will? Can you still enjoy it? But that's what we'll be sort of talking about today, debating. But before we get started, I do want to introduce the panel here. Let's start off with my co-host Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm good. Just working, and I had a unique experience for me today. I went to a Dollar General for the first time ever. And it was not
for the first time ever. Okay.
I was not quite prepared for the amount of stuff that was going to be in there.
There's a lot of stuff at a Dollar General. Very good. Well, I'm happy to hear you had a good Dollar General experience.
I didn't say it was good. I just said it was unique to me.
All right. Well, maybe you'll expand on it in your segment. Maybe you won't. But there you go. Jeremy went inside a Dollar General, right? An eventful moment for him. Put that in the history of his life. He marked it down. He'll remember when he first walked into a Dollar General. Up next is the producer of the show, Acidtrain. Acid, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been into many Dollar Generals, probably with a similar experience, but yeah, there you go. Nothing else. Nothing else new. Yeah.
I think the most times I've gone into Dollar General, there have always been bathroom situations. On a trip where we had to stop to go to use the restroom. I was like, oh, we'll go in this Dollar General right here. Yeah, so there you go. So Asa, we'll get back to you here in a second, but let's get to our guest, and that's Noah. Noah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to have you, Noah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we just we're selling our house, so it's kind of chaotic, which is why I have my background blurred. But yeah, so we're moving in 2 days.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll have a successful move, and I'm not helping you move, so don't.
No, I was going to ask, what time are you going to be here? Let's load up these trucks.
As someone who has helped my family, various people in my family move often, I'm not doing it anymore. No more. No more. But anyways, so once again, our main topic for today, we're going to talk about, can you separate the art from the artist? Obviously, I'm sure we could come up with many examples of a particular producer of an object, a fan object that sort of did something wrong. Michael Jackson, right, is one example. Bill Cosby. I don't know. I'm just saying we'll be talking about this here in a second. But let's go ahead and get to our first segment of the show, and that's where we just talk about what's new in our lives. And I think it's time that we need to talk about Chipotle. Look, I've always been a defender of Chipotle. Anytime anyone badmouths Chipotle, I've always been the one that defends it. I've always enjoyed it. It's not the perfect meal, right? Obviously, if you want better Mexican food, you go to a real Mexican place. Yes, I get it. But if you want fast food, right, so to speak, that can be healthy depending on what you pick, healthy-ish, right? Healthier than going to McDonald's. How about that? Then Chipotle was always and you can always get a lot of food for the most part. You can go in there and you can order. I always order extra rice. It fills me up. Right, anyways. But recently, I don't know if it's just the Chipotles that we have here in Auburn and Opelika. We have two Chipotles. Both of them are pretty bad. I don't know if it's just the ones that we have here or if Chipotle in general has just gone downhill significantly. Because every time, so let's say the past 10 times that I've gone, I've never been completely satisfied with the meal. Either the rice is undercooked or they're missing ingredients. They're always missing something. Today, I had Chipotle for dinner. They didn't have any veggies. They didn't have any veggies, which, look, I guess out of all the ingredients to not have, veggies is probably the best. But here's the crazy thing. Now Chipotle does this thing where they have like the online orders that are going on simultaneously as the in-house orders, and obviously doing out the online orders is garbage. It's just I stay away from that because they always mess up the order. They give you very little food, right? And then you always have to wait longer for whatever reason. You always have to wait longer with the online orders. So I always like ordering in person because I can make sure I can control what's on the freaking burrito bowl. And I can ask for a little extra, like, can you give me a little bit of rice if the person's being a little stingy, right? So I've always enjoyed the in-house ordering experience. Today, I'm in line and I'm ordering, and I said, oh, do you have any veggies? And the lady there, I'm sure she's a nice lady. She said, no, there's no veggies. And I was like, oh, okay. And I looked over and I can see the online order area. Like I can see everything that they have there. And right when I said, does that side have any veggies? I saw someone literally picking up a spoonful of veggies and putting it onto a bowl, right? And I looked over there. And I said, do they have veggies over there? And she looked over there and she looked back to me and she said, no. And I laughed. I laughed. And she knew that I saw the veggies over there. I was like, okay, I guess we're just going to do this. That's fine. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is Chipotle has been disappointing me. I know, Jeremy, I know you've been on off the Chipotle bandwagon for a long time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ate there more than anyone else I know. I mean, I probably averaged 20 plus meals a month for several years. And then there was a stark contrast. And I'm going to say it's significantly before recently. I'm going to say about 4 years ago, it all went downhill. And yeah, I don't go there anymore. I had to stop going out of principle. Because I refused to give them my money because of how poor it became.
I agree with you. I will say the pandemic definitely exacerbated.
So they changed management here locally, and it was pre-pandemic when it got really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they do not handle the online order thing well. No one does.
They don't. Now, so first of all, online orders and online registering in itself, getting a haircut is that's all stupid, right? Because what everybody ends up doing is they register online and then they just hang out, like and that's what everybody does. And then when you show up there's a huge line of online registers and then people can just walk in whenever they want. It's all messed up, right? And if you order online at Chipotle, either A, you get there and you have to wait, versus if you were in the house, you would get the food and then leave. You have to be there and just wait while everyone else is getting their food. Either that's happening or you wait longer before you get there and your food's cold. So the food's always cold when you order online. But anyways, so what I'm trying to say is I'm very disappointed, Joel. But my son Victor, he actually really likes it now. Like he's on the Chipotle bandwagon now, so he kind of wants it too. It's like, oh, we'll go give it a shot. And it wasn't bad today. It really wasn't. It tasted okay. It's just it was one thing. It was just it's always one thing. No veggies or whatever. So, but yeah, there you go. There's my Chipotle rant. Noah, your thoughts on Chipotle?
I hate Chipotle. My husband loves it, but I don't like it at all. It doesn't taste good. It's never, yeah, it's always bad. It's always a bad experience, but he just keeps going back. So I don't know why. It makes no
Well,
sense.
Jeremy, do you remember when going to Chipotle was a treat? Like it was like, oh, we're gonna go to no, I'm not taking it too far.
We're gonna put on our Sunday clothes and go to Sears, that kind of thing.
Right,
I think that we've just been told
top hat
that
on.
Chipotle is so good for so long that people just believe it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's true.
It's that Starbucks mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't live without it,
That's right. Gotta have that Starbucks. Gotta
Yeah.
have Chipotle. Your life isn't
I'm
complete.
sure there are still good Chipotles out there, but the ones that we have here locally are not very
I mean, I'll go to the one in Atlanta by my sister's. I mean, the one in Atlanta. It's in Roswell, Johns Creek area, and it's pretty good. But in general, yeah, I mean the freshness of the food has definitely gone downhill.
I agree with that statement. All right, that's enough on Chipotle for today. Let's go ahead and get to Jeremy. What do you want to talk about?
So I'm all caught up on Picard.
Has there been a new episode since?
So there's a new one that comes out tonight, which
okay,
will be number 8, I guess, 8 or 9. It's been so long since I've watched a weekly show. I forgot what it was like to wait.
To have to wait
a week in between, and I don't mind it. I do. I think there are benefits to having the delayed gratification. But
well, that's kind of what WandaVision was. Like I think a lot of the success of WandaVision was the fact that it had like a lot of mystery in the show, and you were forced to have to wait. And then that's when all the fan theories came out, and then it was fun to sort of speculate on what was going to happen. It ended up being a little bit of a disappointment there at the very end, but for the most part, I think that was the fun of WandaVision as you were sort of watching it with everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, for certain shows, it gives you a chance to like rewatch it and really digest it before the next episode. Picard's not that deep; it doesn't require a rewatch, but it's fun. I'm interested to see how they wrap it all up.
And once again, it's significantly better than the first 2 seasons. Like, I mean, it's like night and day how much better it is from definitely season 2, which I will say once again, I think it's worth repeating. Season 2 of Picard is garbage, like just horrible storytelling, everything, right? But I'm loving season 3. There you go. So, Acid, what's new?
I'm still on the old workout bandwagon. This is week 7, I believe, in a row that I've continued my. I've kind of swapped it out because I don't want to damage my knees too bad, so I've alternated running and really big incline on the treadmill, like 11-12% incline with a pretty energetic walk. Gets the glutes going. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So,
oh yeah, gotta get those glutes.
Gotta get those glutes going. I lost my glutes many years ago. I guess I'm trying to get a little bit of them back. Yeah, they're somewhere around here. I'll find them eventually. But I've been doing that. Wednesday's my rest day, so I do 6 days a week. So I've been doing that, and I did purchase my plane ticket to Chicago for Combo Breaker.
There you go.
Yeah, I spent money on that, and yeah, that's it. Now I'm getting ready to buy my brand new computer, so I'm super excited about it.
It seems like you have a lot of great things. When you were heading to Combo Breaker, I'll be heading down to Orlando and spending all of our savings on creating a memorable experience for two kids that may enjoy it. Like they'll enjoy it.
Maybe.
But I think Lexi's still a little young. She's 4 years old. I think she'll enjoy some aspects of it. But Victor is still 8, so he can't go on any of the rides really. I mean, we might be able to find like a smaller roller coaster to go on, but I guess
Yeah.
they're gonna enjoy it. But so yeah, we'll be doing that. Jeremy will might make an appearance there in Orlando as well. He might make a cameo.
Oh, there you
But
go. Yeah, we'll be headed down there in June, so to do our Disney extravaganza.
there you go. You just got to do it. It's the it's
We made our dinner restaurant reservations just a couple hours ago, actually. So.
we got ours at the Chocolate Emporium. We got our reservations for the Chocolate.
Oh, you're
Emporium.
doing Universal. Oh, okay.
Well, just that for that. We just got.
Oh,
ours
just for that. Oh, okay.
for that restaurant. So.
Gotcha.
All right, Noah, what's new with you?
Like I said, just bought a house, and this house is now off the market, so I'll be moving soon. Yeah. So finally got a house with a pool. I'm super excited.
Ooh.
Oh well, fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a weird moment for you because you're in between two houses. You're sort of like you're still attached to the old house, right? Because you still got to do things like clean up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You still kind of own it still.
Yeah.
But then you're also excited about your new house, so you're in between. I
Yeah.
still make a joke every time I pass my old house, like when we're on the way to Tiger Town. I always make a joke if Alinda's in the car. Sometimes I'll say it by myself. If there's no one else in the car, I'll go, "Hey, do we need to stop by the old house real quick?" Because that was something we would always say. Because there's always something we had to do at the old house, whether it was like we had to like clean up or mow the lawn or whatever, something at the old house while we were like selling it. So like every time we would have, oh, do we need to go by the old house real quick? So I still make that joke today. It's been like 4 years since we sold that house. Like, oh, do we need to stop by the old house real quick? And Alinda loves it every time she laughs.
I still have not been in
your.
I still have not been in your current house.
Yeah, we need to rectify that. You definitely need to come over to the new house.
Y'all should all come over to my new house this weekend. You know,
pool
move some
party.
furniture.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Well,
hopefully
Anthony will
there's
bring
not
the
a lot
Chipotle
of,
over.
Oh, I was saying hopefully there's not a lot of back and forth because we're moving from Huntsville to Birmingham.
Well, that's not too bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well, good luck on all your moving situations. Very good. All right, so let's go ahead and get to our topic for today, and that is we're just going to have a conversation on, can you separate the art from the artist? We could focus on Harry Potter if we want to, if we kind of talk about other examples as well. I guess I'll just go ahead. I'll give other people a chance to kind of start the conversation, but I'll begin by saying that this is a debate that has been going on for a really long time, and there's no right or wrong answer here. I totally get anyone who says to themselves, this is something that I enjoy, whatever it is. This is something that I enjoy, and I'm not going to let the creator or whatever ruin it for me. I'm going to like it no matter what. And really, I think you can also make the argument that as soon as it gets out there and it sort of generates a fan base, it no longer really belongs to the creator, although obviously all the finances go to the creator, but then it belongs to the fans, and they sort of appropriate it, and then they add to the fanon, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the fan creations, and then it becomes part of the zeitgeist. It becomes part of the fan community. I get that argument. I most certainly do. I also, and to sort of to build on that argument, I also understand that it is not everyone's individual responsibility to correct things, right? The idea that in order for us to make a stand, that it's your individual responsibility to like not consume that product anymore. And if you do consume that product, you're advocating for whatever this person you're disagree with or whatever. So I totally understand the argument that like that's not your individual responsibility just because the creator did something wrong. If you like the thing that they make, it doesn't make you a bad person because you like that thing, right? Most certainly do disagree with that 100%. However, I totally also understand anyone who says to themselves, I love this thing, this fan object, but the creator has done something that I completely disagree with. Therefore, I feel like it is my not responsibility, but it is my choice to make a stand and say, I will no longer support this person because I don't want them to get my money, or B, I just can't enjoy it anymore because the creator has ruined it for me. I totally get that too. So I understand both sides of the argument, and obviously there's nuance there. And if we put this in the context of Harry Potter, right? If you are a huge fan of Harry Potter, maybe you grew up reading the books and watching the films, and it's become part of your identity in some way. It's become part of your childhood, and you don't want to give that up. Like, even if you do disagree with something that J.K. Rowling said, right? You don't want to give that up. So I completely understand that position, right? Because at that point, it becomes such a big part of who you are, like your fandom, that by giving it up, it feels almost unfair to you. So playing the video game is you're sort of denying yourself pleasure based on, like, yeah, you're kind of making a statement, but then you're also not able to play a fun video game. Like, I understand that, but I also understand the other side that says, well, we live in a capitalistic society, right? And the idea is, if we truly want to make a statement that will be heard by powerful people, and J.K. Rowling is a relatively powerful person now, right? Because she has a lot of wealth, right? If we want to make a statement that will reach to the powerful people, then we have to speak the way that they'll understand, and that is not buy their stuff, right? So the only way for us to actually make a change is to collectively become activists and boycott the thing, because that's really the only thing that we as a people can do to send a message. Because yes, we can tweet things on Twitter, but that's going to be ignored. But if we say, as a community, we're no longer accepting this, then maybe that will force change or whatever. So once again, I completely understand both sides, and then of course there is a lot of nuance there. Maybe you say, I'm going to play the video game, but I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. I totally get that too. So I just wanted to preface that, and then we'll kind of we'll start with Acid, because Acid, I know you were talking about this in terms of you felt like there were some communities that were being hostile, right? So I want to give you a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, so I was actually looking at, okay, got it. So I love video games regardless. I don't really care who made these video games. I'm going to enjoy them for what they are.
I will say though, you took a stand and you stopped playing games made by that one company, right? Because we talked about this.
Yeah, but that wasn't because somebody did something. That's not because one person made a bad decision. That was because a company decided to start adding a bunch of microtransactions that we've never seen before over the course of a couple of years, and it just, for me, just got way out of hand. And I was just like, I couldn't keep up anymore. I would have spent thousands and thousands of dollars trying to keep up, and I couldn't do it anymore. But this is a game that you purchase, as far as I know, one time. There's no monthly fees. There's no additional content yet. I'm sure there will be, like with every other game. There'll probably be an expansion or an add-on or something. But as of right now, it's very simplistic. Is it going to get Game of the Year? No, of course not. But, it's in a world that I enjoy. It's an escape from reality for some people. And the boycott was so toxic with people going into streamers' channels on YouTube and on Twitch and that kind of stuff, and just lambasting them and just shooting them all kinds of hate, and you're transphobic and we hate you and we hope you die and blah blah blah, all this stuff. It just got out of hand, which kind of backfired on all the folks giving them hate and boycotting because I think the first few weeks sold over 12 million copies of the game, and people even went out of their way to buy multiple copies of this game just cause they, they wanted to just kind of, all right, well, you're going to do this, well, we're going to do this, and we've got some money and we're going to blow it on this and gift some games to people who want it that can't afford it or whatever the case may be. But I can't look at a product, and this is a good example of Hogwarts Legacy. I can't look at Hogwarts Legacy and say, "Oh, I'm not going to play this game because of what someone who had nothing to do with the game at all, only creating the world itself." Like, I'm pretty sure J.K. Rowling didn't go up to Portkey Games and say, "Hey, I think we need to make this video game, about the Harry Potter universe," and she come up with all these ideas and tell them how to build the game, and I'm sure she had hardly anything to do with it. In fact, I bet they came to her and said, "Hey, a lot of fans want a really good Harry Potter universe game. If we create this, we'll give you X amount for royalties and whatever. I mean, are we good with this?" And she was probably like, "Yeah, sure." And they signed a contract, and that was it. She
I'm
got
sure it
her.
wasn't even that. I'm sure she had nothing to do with any part of it.
Yeah, but she'll get her
They went
cut.
to Warner Brothers and licensed the IP.
Yeah, but she had very little to do with any of this.
Of
but
course,
I
the
mean,
argument's going to be, but she's profiting off of it, right? She's going to
yes,
get
of course. I mean,
Indirectly, not directly.
it's not like she needed it. She was like, "Oh, okay, well, more
I
money
mean,
showed up in my bank account."
whenever you make the IP more valuable, and anytime you have a paratext, if you will, like a video game, it enhances the success of the IP in general. And if the IP becomes more valuable, then she makes more money, right? Because it's sort of
I mean,
builds.
people go out and buy the books.
Yes, or buy a movie, or
Yeah.
pay somebody to stream it, or whatever that works. But as of March 20th, 2023, Hogwarts Legacy has now generated over $1 billion with a B dollars in revenue, which is just insane. And like I said, is this going to be game of the year? No, it's not. Like, it's a good game. It is not game of the year material, but it's a fun little escape that you can just fly around on a broom and shoot your wand at things. And I mean, if you like that universe, it's just.
I totally thought you said shoot your wad.
Wand.
When's that DLC come out?
That's the new adult version.
But I mean, you don't see people going out and boycotting McDonald's because their food causes obesity. But it's not like on television every day, and it's not on social media every day, and it's not, it doesn't get all this attention. You don't see, people picketing outside of cigarette companies because they cause cancer.
You see a lot of vegan activists, right? I mean, just recently in all the artwork that was vandalized because of it. And I mean, they are largely protesting mass factory farming, of which McDonald's and the like are huge consumers of. So I think you do. I just think we're a little bit numb to it because we've seen it all our lives.
Hmm. But I mean, people aren't going to stop eating Krispy Kreme donuts because they know that those types of things cause diabetes and heart disease and obesity, but they already know this. Just like they already know J.K. Rowling's stance on her stuff, but people are still going to consume it anyway because they enjoy it. I mean, they're separating it. Cigarettes kill people, yet still people buy them and smoke them. And
although it has been going down, cigarette smoking has been gone down because there's been activism. There's been
taxes.
Yeah, but that's not the sole reason people will stop smoking.
So in the United States, it's still cheaper. If you go to like Australia, it's $20-$25 a pack, right? You can't support a 2 or 3 day pack habit for 95% of the people.
Right.
Right. But here's the thing. If you are someone who believes that there is an injustice in the world and you want to make change, this is the only avenue for that. Yeah, people do it in toxic ways, but this is really the only way that we have to be politically engaged.
There's a fundamental difference between making the choice for yourself and proselytizing and bullying people because they disagree with you about something.
Yeah, but that's part of that's sort of what works. I mean, that's sort of what gets
you can't
noticed.
behave like that in a rational society. I mean, this kind of behavior didn't happen 30 years ago.
Well, I think it gets augmented and it gets exacerbated by social media. But that's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what gets enabled. But this is the digital age. And if you know that this is your only way to be heard, or this is the easiest, least resistant way to be heard, then you're going to do it. You're going to. That's why trolling is so prominent. That is why all this is so prominent. You see it, and it happens like many different types of trolling. It just that's because that's kind of the time that we live in, and this is the avenue to do it. So it makes sense why people are doing it, is what I'm trying to say. Noah, your thoughts?
So my thoughts are, I guess it depends on how heinous the act or whatever was that the artist committed. So like with like R. Kelly, obviously like he put out some good music, but I mean his acts were super, super heinous. Therefore, I will never ever listen to another R. Kelly song. But like Kanye West, he's kind of crazy. And I like his music. So, I mean, I would totally listen to that. Now, J.K. Rowling, to me, is a totally different story because not only did she make transphobic comments that were just super disgusting, but she also doubled down.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Like when people would call her out, when people called her out and said, "How do you sleep at night?" Knowing that you just like, outcasted half of your fans or, a ton of your fan base. And she's like, well, I just read my royalty checks and I'm fine. Like, that's like legitimately what she said on Twitter. And to me, that's super disgusting. And it shows like no remorse. And I don't have any, like, I have nothing for it. As much as I loved Harry Potter, I love like, my son is transgendered. I love my son more. I love his people more, so yeah, it hurts. It sucks. It doesn't feel good because Harry Potter was a huge part of my identity growing up, but I just can't support it at all.
Jeremy, I know you're about to say something. I'm a little worried about what you're going to have to say, but go ahead and go for it.
No, I mean, I think, but if she took a stance, anyone, you take a stance, you say what you think, you shouldn't act like you changed just because people like retaliate.
Unless you realize what you said was wrong, it's okay to say, oh, you know what? Now I see what I said is wrong. I think that's okay.
Yeah, right? Like people say things that suck all the time. Like I've said a ton of things that suck. But I like grew from it. I'm not the same person that I was like, back then or whatever. But like for J.K. Rowling, like when people spoke up about it, she doubled down and she's like, no, I am this nasty. Like this is how I feel. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. And so it's like at that point, it's like, okay, well, obviously doesn't care about anything but money. And that's totally fine for her. So for me personally, I don't try to influence anyone else, but for me personally, it's just not for me. So
the problem now is the right and wrong doesn't exist anymore. Like it's gone. Like I mean, you have your like extreme rights and your extreme wrongs, like murder and that kind of stuff. But like, even some people think that that's okay. But you have this group of people over here who thinks this is right, and you got this group of people over here who think this is right, and these people over here think this is right, and these people over here think this is right, and then they think they're wrong, and so right and wrong is gone. Like, it is just non-existent anymore. It's all about what you feel is right and wrong.
Yeah,
And
it's the conversion of objective, the importance of the objective reality to the heightened importance of subjective.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely agree with that too. Like, that's why I would never like try to push my views upon someone. Like, I would never be like, you guys suck
Right.
because you play Harry Potter.
Right, exactly. And I'm
Ever.
exactly the same way. I'm not
Yeah.
going to push my beliefs on anybody. The most important people in my life are me, my family, my wife, my kids. And as long as nobody's bothering us, give a crap what you do.
Right.
You can do whatever you want.
I can most certainly respect that viewpoint, right? I think one thing that needs to be said. Well, first of all, let me say this because I want to say I think it's very important to say what J.K. Rowling's stance on transgender people is completely unnecessary. She did not have to make comments about this. I don't understand what is this notion with powerful people having to have stances on marginalized communities. I don't get it, right? I think this reminds me of a Pete Davidson joke. By the way, Pete Davidson, not my favorite comedian, but he had a really funny joke when it was like the Adam Sandler won an award. I think it was the Mark Twain Award. And during the award ceremony, he said, "I want to thank Adam Sandler for being one of the only older comedians that doesn't have an opinion on transgender people," which I think is perfect, right? Exactly. Why are you having an opinion on it? Don't say anything. I don't understand this, right? So
exposure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, so do you not put room in there for the fact that people, they want to behave just the same as normal people? Because regular people put their opinions out on social media all the time.
that's true.
So just the fact that they have money and power, they can no longer interact in the same way.
But it's controversial.
Yeah.
So
I think
why do?
I think once you hit like a certain like threshold of once you're like a certain amount of famous, like J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or whoever, like I feel like you have a responsibility to kind of, I don't know, to your brand, like your entire livelihood, to keep those types of thoughts to yourself. If you want to express yourself, like why not just make an anonymous handle and like troll people on the internet? You know what I mean? But they know that they have this platform that will reach millions of people, and that's precisely why they do it.
I do think there's a big difference too, Jeremy, because this sort of like this conversation appears a lot on like Joe Rogan podcasts and that sort of thing, right? Well, it's freedom of speech. I think there's a huge difference between punching up and punching down. Like the punching down, I don't understand why famous, powerful people feel it necessary to punch down. Even if you feel like, I guess that you could say they don't feel like they are punching down, but when you have a marginalized community and you're sort of have opinions that demeans that community, it's completely unnecessary. So I don't get it.
I mean, but that's again, you're presupposing their intentions. And I just don't see that there's that much difference between people. I mean, a little bit of money difference, a little bit of reach, but people are still people. I mean, they still interact with
Was
other
that a
humans
deliberate Depeche
largely the
Mode
same
song
way.
reference?
What's
Were
that?
you deliberately referencing a Depeche Mode song? People are people.
Who's
I feel
Depeche
like
Mode?
stop this.
No,
Stop this.
I didn't realize that was one of the songs. But I mean, I don't think people put that much thought, especially people like J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, people who built themselves up as fiction writers. Like they're not influencers, right? They're not constantly aware of their brand. So I just don't see them as being that different from anybody else.
I do agree with you 100% that maybe they're just not self-aware enough to know the difference. Like they're not self-aware enough to know that you are potentially punching down.
Right. Which is why, like, when she did make those comments and people responded to her and they were like, hey, this hurt. And like, I've literally spent my entire life looking up to you and like loving every single thing that you've ever done and supporting you. And then she just doubles down, knowing that it's hurt people, doubling down on it and, you know, drawing that line even more. I think that that's kind of what separates like her from, you know, everybody else or, you know, people like her from just normal, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I will say from a judicial perspective, I see a very stark difference between J.K. Rowling and the other person you mentioned, R. Kelly. One person
Well,
said things, another person did things, and to
right.
me,
So
that's
now
a
now we're just
massive difference.
now we're just sort of getting into like concentrations of evilness, right?
No, I mean one. I mean one is we have decided as a society that is punishable as a criminal act.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do. I'm not trying to say, but I think we get into a little bit of slippage when we're saying like, okay, so this, but obviously that's how people interpret things. That's like I'm okay with this because this person only kind of did this bad thing versus I'm okay with this. Yeah, I agree with you. That sort of it does play into how people decide on what is acceptable and not. I think it is worth mentioning though, as someone who considers themselves to be a fan scholar and reads a lot on the literature on fandom, and that is that the Harry Potter fan community has historically always been big advocates for social justice. There's been a lot of literature on how the Harry Potter community has sort of collectively come together and advocated for civil rights and so forth and so forth and so forth, gay rights, right? So they have been active for a very long time, and not just in terms of like Harry Potter fans tend to be more politically active for social justice. No, they've actually used the Harry Potter fandom as a means of galvanizing a group of people. And this has been a ton of literature on this. So it makes sense that this community would somehow feel betrayed by J.K. Rowling because before J.K. made these comments about transgender people, that the fan community has historically, without J.K. Rowling's blessing, it's not like she was leading the charge. No, the fans did it themselves, choosing Harry Potter as a means of galvanizing people. So it makes sense that the community would then say, "Whoa, what? This is not who we are, and we can't have our supposed leader advocating for this." So it almost feels like it's like an overreaction based on like a sense of betrayal.
I mean, but do you not think it's due to a generational difference in what social justice meant?
Oh yeah.
Because my understanding is what she said was was well, I don't really know what all she said, and I don't know what she doubled down on. But her argument is she said she was trying to protect one group, right? She isn't saying that she's saying against. She's saying pro another.
Yeah,
Isn't
I
that her
think
argument?
yeah, she was trying to make an argument about sort of like protecting femininity in a way or something like that. I think that's what her argument was about. What her original comment, right? So, but I think she's made additional comments after that that sort of made people a little upset. So it wasn't like cancel like the way conservatives frame cancel culture. It's like one person made one mistake and everyone freaked out. Like it's like I'm sure there were people who overreacted, but it wasn't like she made one mistake and said, "Please, I'm so sorry." That's not what happened. No, she made the comment and doubled down and kept making comments about it. So that's sort of how we get to where we're at today.
Yeah, I mean, she still makes comments about it, you know. So, but like, I don't know, like with it's all about like your personal belief system and you know, like J.K. Rowling, like she came into all of our homes with Harry Potter, this underdog who we all can relate to, who we all were like, oh my gosh, like this kid could do like can do anything, like we can, you know what I'm saying? Like it's super inspiring. So like for her to like, you know, Harry Potter is this underdog and like we're all rooting for him. That's why there's so many people like in the trans community that, you know, identify with Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, the LGBT and like, you know,
he was literally put in a closet.
yeah,
Literally put
exactly,
in a
yeah.
closet.
So
Oh,
like
but
you have these people that relate to that, and then they just like, and so yeah, she was trying to protect one, like, you know, one side of this, you know, whatever. She wasn't anti or pro, or she was pro or anti. I don't know what you, but anyway, she was, while she was trying to like protect this, you know, this group of people who don't really need your protection, like, she was hurting people that really, really needed her to like have their backs, you know? So, but yeah, it's just all about like your personal beliefs. You know, some people are super transphobic and they think that J.K. Rowling is a trailblazer and like is helping their cause. You know, for them, she's a hero, but she's definitely not my hero. She was at one point, but not anymore.
Jeremy, you have a comment?
oh no, I was going to make a joke about the character of Harry Potter. That
Were you gonna make the
he's
joke that it? Were you gonna make the? I think I'm gonna guess the joke. Here it is.
okay.
That Harry Potter is just Star Wars. So J.K. Rowling maybe is not that creative of an author when Harry Potter is just Star Wars.
No, that wasn't
Oh,
what I was going to say. And besides, there's a lot more that goes into writing than just your general, man against the world thing.
all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Because there's only so many stories to tell, right? But no, my joke was that the character of Harry Potter is literally just a high school jock who cheats on his tests and becomes a cop. So,
Okay, I guess you can interpret that way too.
I mean, that's actually what happens in the story. So,
Okay, all right, very good.
If
Excellent.
I
Acid,
if
I feel
I
like you have some.
if I watch or I read something that I enjoy, the last thing I'm gonna like, okay, this, I mean, it's just so frustrating because like I feel like I take things completely differently from anybody else. Like, so if I love a comic book, right? It's like, all right, well, Marvel's Spider-Man or whatever it is, and I'm really getting into Spider-Man and I'm reading all the comics and and then it's like, oh, Stan Lee, creator of Spider-Man, whatever. Do I want to go? Do I want to go learn more about Stan Lee? Me personally, no. I don't give a rip about Stan Lee. I care about Spider-Man. I don't care what Stan Lee did. Other than, hey, thanks for making Spider-Man, dude. I appreciate it. I don't want to. I don't care. He's not going to become a hero to me. He's not going to be an enemy to me because I'm just enjoying the work of Spider-Man. Just, and as long as it keeps going, I'm happy. Same with kind of Harry Potter.
I mean,
But
it's like anything else. I mean, we as a society or as humans, we are completely hypocritical about how we go through our life. So people will be mad at someone paying, minimum wage, and they'll tweet at them from their iPhone.
yeah,
And your iPhone was built by people who are literally dying.
Well, then, if that's the argument, then what's the point of anything? What's the point of having any sort of like belief
correct.
system, value systems? Then,
Well,
if like because we're always
Everything exists now. Everything.
we live in, this is the society that we live in, right?
yeah, but you
But
don't have to have an iPhone. You don't
No,
have to buy clothes.
But
you
I
have
mean,
to have
if you don't have an iPhone, you're
No,
gonna
you
have
don't.
another type of phone that's also made in a
you
factory.
you
Like, yeah,
most certainly have to have an iPhone. In 2023,
No,
you
you don't.
have to have an
A
iPhone.
couple of years ago, I threw mine away. I
I don't
used a
have it.
dumb phone for a
I
year.
don't have one.
I
I
mean,
can pull it out and show you.
you have to have a smartphone in
No,
today's.
I had a dumb phone,
See, so
and
this,
I work
okay,
in the tech industry.
let me push back against this argument because this is the same argument that says like just because you have sort of a belief system or value systems where you want to sort of point in, where you want to pick and say, hey, in this particular instance, like there's an injustice. That doesn't mean that you have to completely get rid of everything
No,
that
but you need
has
to be
some
aware.
sort of like, because everything is problematic. Everything so because we live in a capitalist society,
I mean,
everything is sort of like has exploitation at some point, right? So if that's the argument, then what's the point? Let's just all just give up and have.
no, I mean,
And
like there's
No,
still discussions worth having, but you need to be aware, right? You can't blame and say this person's evil and everything I believe is you know true. Like I'm the good one, but you're still taking part in systems that hurt people, right? So
right.
you just have to be aware of your stance and everything.
okay, fair enough. I'm
Like
hearing
saying
you.
saying you're going to turn a blind eye to it and just accept it is the same as saying I'll turn a blind eye to everything.
I'm hearing what you say. So let me give you an example. All right, so um, you know that I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan. I'm the biggest Depeche Mode fan ever, right? If any of the members of Depeche Mode came out and were anti-gay rights, that would ruin the band for me. I would probably not listen to the band anymore, right? And I am the hugest Depeche Mode fan. So I think that there are certain instances. I think another example. So obviously, one of my chapters in my dissertation talks about CrossFit, and I write about sort of like the problematic aspects of both CrossFit and fitness culture. And I mention the controversy with Greg Glassman, where he got kicked out of the as CEO because of the comments he made about George Floyd, right?
Which I
And
still don't understand, but
like you
I
don't
don't
understand.
understand it. I don't understand the comment he made. It wasn't offensive or non-offensive. It was nonsensical to me.
Well, so I think that the what he was trying to say is that the media was overreacting over over what happened to George Floyd. That's what he was trying to say
He
because
was
they
he was
had Floyd
tweeting at a
19.
modeling company who was saying they were going to model something to do with the riots that summer, and it was something like, "Are you going to model it as well as you modeled the COVID-19 pandemic?" And
Yeah, so
the joke was that they didn't do a good job.
yeah, so I think so. He had a lot of comments about COVID-19. He had a lot of comments about the sort of the outrage over what happened to George Floyd, and he made several comments that were stupid, right, and certainly offensive. But he also made other comments like behind closed doors that
Oh
were
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
so that people were that sort of once this surfaced, everyone was sort of, even if they agreed with them, they were forced to say no, we don't agree with Greg Glassman, right? So in that instance, it's an example of you know we don't agree with what this. So Greg Glassman was the CEO. He was like the arbiter of what CrossFit was. He created CrossFit. So when you have the creator of CrossFit say something, and everybody who does most people in CrossFit were like, you know what, that's too far. Although Greg Glassman said a lot of things that were stupid, problematic, but like, okay, that's too far. So in that instance, it's a great example of the community saying we're no longer going to tolerate this and sort of force him out, right? So I think
But why do you care who this guy is?
because he's the creator of CrossFit, and if you
So
have the creator of CrossFit who's
who gives
associated
a
with
rip?
because he's associated with the product, he's synonymous with the product,
I had no idea who the creator of CrossFit was. No
right?
idea.
Okay.
So if I were
What
to go
what
start CrossFit tomorrow, I would not go and search out who created CrossFit. I don't care.
because you're not like involved in the CrossFit community, so it doesn't matter to you, so it doesn't apply. But if it was something that mattered more to you, then you would probably understand it more, and then you would probably have more of a say, right? You would have more of an opinion if it was something a little more closer. Like if the CEO of Blizzard said something that you disagreed with,
I still have
right?
no idea who the CEO of Blizzard is.
I mean, whatever that. So,
I don't seek it out. I don't care who it is.
well, great for you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Well, I think
Well,
with
good for
J.K.
you.
Rowling, it's like her Harry Potter is like that whole franchise is like her identity, or like that she's just a part of it. But like I couldn't tell you who wrote Twilight. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
could be a serial killer. I would have no idea. I can't tell. I don't
She
even know who wrote the
murdered those
Bible.
words.
You know, like I don't know who wrote any of that stuff. And like those could all be really bad people, but I mean, but she is that's the whole Harry Potter identity. Like it's her, you know?
And I
So I think
totally get,
that's kind of the difference.
and I totally get anyone like Linda, for example. Like she doesn't know who created any of these properties, so to her, it doesn't matter to her, right? So there are people out there like Acid and Linda, where it's like it doesn't it doesn't register, so it doesn't. And I totally get that. But for the people who sort of like know who the creators are, you have to solve the dissonance. Either way, you have to solve the dissonance in a couple ways. Either you originally didn't care who the creator was from the beginning, then fantastic, then you're not suffering the dissonance. But if you do know the creator, and then if it's inconsistent with your sense of morality, and there's a disconnect there, then you have to solve it. So how do you solve it? You can sort of say to yourself, you can internalize it and say, okay, well, I'm no longer going to care what the creator thinks. Then you solve your dissonance. Or you can be like a lot of Harry Potter fans who are already sort of active socially and say to themselves, okay, well, in order for me to solve the dissonance, I have to fight back. Right? So it's just basic human psychology. Like, because there's a tension there that needs to be solved. Right?
Yeah,
So
I think. I mean, I think that's perfectly rational. It's the way you should behave, right? You should vote your dollar. I think the issues come up with in a Western society. What are the acceptable ways of fighting back? And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, the toxic fandom of sending death threats and whatnot is not the way we should go about it.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. I don't agree
But
with
if
that.
that's the
Or I agree with that. I don't agree that people should be sending death threats. I think that's terrible. You don't fight evil with evil.
harassment, death threats, racism, sexism, all of the stuff that you see on social media, obviously it's not what we should have, but it's what is enabled. So if it's enabled, if it's allowed, and in some cases even augmented, exacerbated by the platform itself, based on the fact that a lot of controversial comments, they tend to get more attention, then that's what's going to surface. This is just a manifestation of the digital age, right? So obviously I disagree with a lot of with harassment and trolling and all that kind of stuff, but that's what we live in.
No,
So
yeah.
what do you expect you expect people to be good? People are people, as
I
Jeremy
think
said.
people are fundamentally good, which we probably disagree on that one.
By the way, "People Are Good" is another Depeche Mode song, Jeremy. So you're 2 for 2. You're 2 for 2 here.
But I think it's the anonymity of the internet, or what people perceive to be anonymity, combined with the sort of groupthink effect of having people who seem to agree with them, that amplifies all this into just chaotic nonsense.
Yep. It's just the
So
age that we live in.
is just to disengage from all social media, right?
Is that so?
So vote the way that that you think it should be.
All right. Well, there you go. Acid, what do you have?
I don't know. No, I mean, I agree with Jeremy about awareness. Like I'm very aware of a lot of things, but I choose not to to dive any deeper than the awareness.
Mhm.
Like I watch a lot of things on social media and on like YouTube and that kind of stuff, so I'm aware that a lot of things are out there, but you know they're not bothering. They don't bother me personally. Like they're not hurting me. They're not hurting my family members.
Let me say this. All right, so in my CrossFit example, Greg Glassman gets forced out as CEO. I personally believe that was the right move, and it was a good thing
To be
to
clear,
get
he
rid
didn't
of
get
him.
forced out. He was sole owner. He sold it for 9 figures. So how punished was he, really?
That's a whole nother separate issue. But yes, I get that. But I think that removing him from the brand was the right thing to do. And if he was not removed from the brand, it would most certainly make me have more of a negative interpretation of CrossFit. And in fact, I probably would not be a fan of CrossFit anymore. I'd be done with CrossFit.
Does he get points for removing himself to save the brand? Because that was his choice. He wasn't forced out. He was sole owner, right? There was no board telling him to leave.
When you have famous CrossFit athletes that are saying get rid of Glassman, like Rich Froning and stuff, then
But it doesn't mean anything. Get rid of it would be like somebody saying, telling me get rid of your truck. I own it, right? Like you there's nothing you can do about it.
But when you have the celebrity that some of these CrossFit athletes have, because it became its own monster. Like yes, he created it, but the Frankenstein monster it expanded beyond Greg Glassman. And if you're saying that sort of like yeah, he still sort of like owns it, yeah. But if the monster itself says no, we no longer support you, you no longer have the monster anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like you lost it. So he was in many ways, yes, he got money from it. He's totally fine. Like he's not hurt. He was not canceled. But yes, he had no choice. It wasn't like he could go, you know what, F everybody.
I don't know. I think Glassman is the type of person that if he had really gotten mad about it, he would have just let it burn to the ground out of principle.
Well, then it would have burned to the ground, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think CrossFit could have survived if he was still there. And who knows? I could be wrong. Everyone could have been completely fine.
I think it would be fine. I mean, there's like no one locally de-affiliated, right? I don't know anyone who did.
There was de-affiliations. There was a lot.
There were some, but I'm saying like people right? They were not local.
They were not locally. But it was significant. Like there was significant de-affiliations. Now you could make the argument that they were going to de-affiliate anyways because people have.
Yeah, and you just use it as an excuse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get that. I understand. But there was significant. That was like the final straw sort of thing. But anyways, that's the show for today. Noah, did you have one more comment that you wanted to leave?
No, I think I think this is a really good conversation. It's good when you can have conversations like these and not turn into some sort of heated, argument. Like it's good that we can all have our opinions and, still, be friends and yeah, so.
She really wants us to come help her move. I'm telling you.
Please.
That's what that was.
That's what it is. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, like, I get both sides. I totally understand all the nuance in the argument. I totally understand the Jeremy argument that it doesn't matter anyways. It's where we live in capitalism. So anything you buy has some sort of exploitation involved in it. It's the good place. It's the good place argument. It doesn't matter what you do. You're supporting something bad, right? Has anyone seen The Good Place? Does anyone
Yes.
The show? Yeah.
I love that show. It's so good.
It's the good place argument. It doesn't matter what you do. Anything you do, it supports something bad, right? So if we're gonna do the good place argument, then who cares? Then who cares, right? just live your life. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.